This is James Mathers at NAB 2018 for the Digital Cinema Society and New Bay Media. I'm here with my old friend Tim Smith in the Canon booth, and he's going to tell us about the talk of NAB, a large format, but large formats are nothing new to Canon.
Yeah, large formats is what got us here in the first place. We came out with the 5D Mark II and our world changed. We weren't really even a player in the cinema business, and there was so much interest in the idea of large format. So we've been doing large format, which is essentially a full frame sensor, for years, but this time now we have it in a real camera, a real cinema camera. And we're doing some new things. This is our first anamorphic piece, and let me clear that up. It's our first anamorphic piece that works anamorphic from a 4:3D squeeze. The original 700 will do an anamorphic, but it's doing it off of a 17:9 sensor. When you have the extra real estate from a full frame sensor, you can get the height you need to really do proper anamorphic and do the 4:3D squeeze. It'll do an anamorphic 2.0, an anamorphic 1.3. It'll also do a Super 16 crop and a Super 35 crop. And one of the things I really like about it, if you're not going anamorphic and you really still want this 5.9 sensor to work for you, we do a super sampling where you can shoot 5.9 on the sensor and then internally record 4K to the CFast cards, which is giving you an oversampled 4K, which really gives you a wonderful looking 4K. Significantly more detail than you see in just a standard 4K. What else have we done to this? Same body design as the 700. If you have the 700, we can just change out the sensor in the front for a cost, which I don't know at the moment, but they're modular. So if you've bought the 700 or the 700 GS, which have been out for a little bit, and decide you want to go the full frame one, we're going to make it available to be upgraded at a cost at our service center to the full frame sensor, and you can put it in the same body. So the body is modular. The camera body itself is essentially exactly as the original 700 and the global shutter piece. Without turning it on and looking at the title, you don't know which camera this one is. One of the things that's carrying over is the menu systems being here, as well as there's also a flip side, which lets you have it on the other side. Well, let me spin it around and you can take a look. So everything is duplicated on both sides with this panel, which works really well in a production environment. I can see, for me anyway, I can see, even when the operator, I can see everything being duplicated here. This is also removable. Below this, you're going to have your CFast media, your SD card media, or the codex recorder comes in here. This comes off, codex recorder goes on, completely integrated with the camera. There's no menu systems on the codex, it's just completely integrated. Everything runs through the same menu system as this one. Even firmware updates to the recorder run through the camera. So it's all a pretty integrated system. Also, we have what's the only one in the world so far is our new 20mm. So it rounds out our series of primes. And these are full frame primes, which technically is the only cinema glass we have that covers that full frame sensor. Our other zooms are for Super 35. So now we'll have a 14, 20, 24, 35, 50, 85, and 135 in our prime set, so it kind of rounds out the prime set a little bit. We could still probably do a few more down the road too. What's really unique is this is the first time we've done a 20mm, even on our still side, so it's a whole new piece of glass, which is really nice.
And that's EF mount?
That's EF mount at this point, yes. Yeah, so all our primes are still EF mounted and work fine. This camera comes in either EF or PL, and the mount can be service changed. So if you buy an EF and you want it to be a PL, that's fine, because there is no such thing really as EF anamorphic. So if that's the feature, then you need to go with the PL version. But we can change it to EF if you want to do that. So
I'm sure this is very capable of HDR, but how do you monitor HDR?
I'm glad you asked. We did this. This is our new 17-inch, which will go into HDR, but this is an on-set field production HDR monitor. And I think that's sort of where HDR needs to come into play, is that on set, you can't see your HDR. How do you determine where your exposures are? We do these HDR passes in post, and we push the exposures appropriately when we're shooting, but you never really know until you're seeing an HDR monitor. So this 1710 has the brightness levels to do a great HDR. It's also configured for field monitor, so it runs on batteries, runs on AC, has all those inputs. It's a UHD. So it'll give you the full 4K as well. Waveforms, all the usual stuff. It's a great monitor, actually, really good. We used it actually in when we shot the demo film on this one. Makes all the difference in the world when you're trying to determine a technical film that's going to be finished in HDR.
Can't wait to try this stuff out. Thank you, Tim.
You got a friend at Canon, give me a call. So, thanks.